You're live. And now for Facebook. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Live Irish Myths. I'm Anthony Murphy of Mythical Ireland, and that's Coda the dog, who clearly wants to be heard. You're very welcome along. He's very excitable altogether. You're very welcome along to this episode, which is episode number 14 of this series, which was initiated on the day that COVID-19 coronavirus restrictions were announced in Ireland, and primarily started as a means to help perhaps distract us from the anxiety and the bad news of the whole situation, and to keep us focused on good, wholesome, nourishing things, to perhaps provide a little bit of education and entertainment at the same time, to bridge a gap across time with prehistoric ancestors and maybe not so prehistoric ancestors, to bring some of the old Irish tales to light again. Some of them you'll be very familiar with, some of them you may not be so familiar with. As usual, I should always start. Okay, Coda, I'm getting there, it's okay. I should begin by saying thank you very much to Mythical Ireland patrons who helped to make this possible. And if you are interested in becoming a patron, you can do so at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/Mythical Ireland. And remember that for your patronage, you receive rewards. You receive early and exclusive access to pictures and videos and podcasts and blog posts. So hopefully, if you're feeling like it, you'll go over to patreon.com/Mythical Ireland. So we're live streaming on YouTube on the Mythical Ireland channel. That's youtube.com/Mythical Ireland, and also on Facebook on the Mythical Ireland page, which is facebook.com/Mythical Ireland. Tonight we're going to start reading the Children of Lir. Now it's a long tale, so it will require it to be spread over 2 episodes, but nonetheless I think you'll enjoy the story. Just before we start, I have to say hello to a few people who are popping up on comments. Travel Tips Ireland on YouTube is saying it's nice that you're doing these, and of course very glad to be able to do them. Aaron Durrett is saying hello again. Aaron, you're very welcome. Hope you're keeping safe and well, and that if you are isolated, that you're not feeling too lonely and too cut off. Catherine Wall McManus, another of our regular viewers, is watching. Hello, Catherine. How are you? Catherine Woodruff, glad to see you again. Only the best to you and all your family. Well, we're keeping great, and we're managing to stay sane in all this. But in fairness, there are 7 of us in the house, so isolation is a funny word, you know. Thankfully, we have each other, and we're very supportive, and it's lovely to have. Plus, in addition to my wife and 5 children, we have 2 dogs. So it's a busy household. Robert Arbuckle says hello again from the Oak Grove. Hello, Robert. I think you might have sent me an email, and I'm not sure whether I responded or not. I had a very busy day at work today, so I wasn't able to deal with correspondence very much. So if people have been emailing me, I will try to get back to you at some stage in sooner rather than later. Dana Hicks is watching again. Hello, Dana. How are you? Nice to see you. David Gilroy is watching. Hello, David. You're very welcome. Christopher Whitener is saying hello again. Looking forward to this new episode with one of my favourite myths. Greetings from Munich. And greetings to you, Christopher. I hope that you and all your family and friends are keeping safe and well in the crisis. Vicky Wallace Southall is saying hello again from Oregon. One of our most distant viewers and one of our regulars. Hello, Vicky. Hope you're keeping well and that everybody belonging to you is in good form. Jules Cousins is here again. Hello, Jules. Very nice to have you along. Anna Victoria Mulcahy. I'm not sure I've seen that name before. Anna, if you are new to the live webcasts, you are very welcome and hope you enjoy yourself here. Barb Jordan is in again. Hello, Barb. Lovely to see you again. Hope you're keeping well. Matt Byrne is in. Hello, Matt. Probably the closest viewer in Drogheda. Margaret Ring. Hello, Margaret. Missed last night. Happy to be here tonight. Evening. Heart. I don't know what colour that is. Is that a purple heart? Is it? I'm slightly colourblind. Anna is in Ballinasloe in County Galway. Well, you're very welcome, Anna, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Philip Murray is watching from California. Hello, Philip. Again, the West Coast, very well represented. I mean the West Coast of the States, as well as the West Coast of Ireland. Aaron Durrett, this little piggy is staying home. Very good advice. And don't forget, everybody, wash your lava. Wash the hands regularly. Keep your distance from people. But socially, on broadband, on social media, it's perfectly acceptable to say hello to people. Federica Guy is saying hello. Hello, Federica. And Federica is in Italy. Very good evening to you. Catherine Griffin is in Alabama. Sweet home, Alabama. Hello, Catherine. Vicky is saying love to you all. And I'm sure that's going to be reciprocated. Dave Russell, I didn't know you were live. Hi from Derry. Well, there you go, Dave. Absolutely live. And 2 episodes ago, something smashed in the kitchen. These are the things that happen. And Anna Victoria Mulcahy is confirming that she is new. Well, you're very welcome, Anna. Hope you enjoy yourself. Jane Myatt is in High River, Alberta. Hello, Jane. Very good afternoon to you. I imagine it's just after 8 o'clock here in the evening time in Ireland. Great news. There's a lovely stretch in the evenings, as we say here in Ireland. About 15 minutes ago, I had a look out and there was still a hint of twilight. And at the weekend, the clocks are going forward, which means next week it's not going to be getting dark till about 9 o'clock at night, which is brilliant. Summer is coming in. The weather's been lovely. Today was very mild and sunny, although I wasn't able to get out to enjoy it. But look, it's better than dull and raining and cold. Wendy Holmes is in New York City. Hello again, Wendy. You're very welcome. I hope everybody in New York City is keeping safe and well and at a distance, but still in touch. Gary Collins is another of the locals watching in Drogheda. Pauline Lamaine Hanke is from NL. Is that Netherlands? Very good evening, Pauline. Francesca Hennessy is saying new to webcast in Greystones in County Wicklow. Hello, Francesca. Is it Francesca? Yeah. And perhaps all of the other regulars will say hello to the newcomers and make them feel very welcome. Margaret says, yes, it's a Purple Heart. Shannon Slater Tina is in California, checking in. Hello again, Shannon. Lovely Irish name. Barb Jordan. Hi, Anna. My grandparents were from Ballinasloe. There you go. Very interesting. Dave Russell, happens to me a lot, mate. Freya is saying hello again from Sweden. Hello, Freya. Very good night to you. And on YouTube, Dunn M. Hello, Anthony. Great series from Melanie. Hello, Melanie. April Giles. Hello from South Carolina. Enjoying the past episodes and looking forward to this one. You're very welcome, April. I hope you have an enjoyable time here. I've set up the cameras for YouTube and Facebook close by because the first night I had them, I had to look in different directions. So hopefully the eye contact will be a little bit better. Sandrine Brady, great to be with you all again. Orléans, is it Orléans, France? Orleans, Orléans. Paul Cochran is saying, Anthony, hello from Clare to Rathtow. As people say, Rathoth or Rathoth. They always put the first H in, don't they? You know, it's like a remnant of when that place name was pronounced in Irish. Rathoth. I'll sit quietly in the corner here. Don't worry, Paul. Don't worry. And if you have questions or comments, don't be afraid to make them. And Travel Tips Ireland, who I'm not always familiar with the first name, so I don't know what your name is. You may have told me before. Social distancing is not social isolation, and this is proof, as we all watch together, exactly. And if we can lift our spirits a little bit through storytelling, then let's do it, you know. Alex Casterson is saying hello there. Hi, Alex. Wonder whereabouts you are. Shamie McCarville is saying hello again. I know you told us where you were before, Shamie, so forgive me for not remembering immediately offhand. Tonight, part 1 of one of the ancient Celtic romances, and here translated and retold by P.W. Joyce, the fate of the Children of Lir, otherwise known as the Four White Swans, and it begins with a poem. And Travel Tips Ireland is Fergal, who's based in Dublin. Baile Áclia, the ford of the hurdles. Good evening to you, Fergal. You're very welcome again. Silent, O Moyle, be the roar of thy water. Break not, ye breezes, your chain of repose. While murmuring mournfully, Lear's lonely daughter tells to the night star her tale of woes. And chapter 1 is called Bov Jarug, chosen king of the Daedanans. And of course, this takes us all the way back into the mists of prehistory, when the Daedanans were the rulers of Ireland, the ancient deities associated with bringing the four great treasures from different lands in the north, and for constructing the great monuments of Brunabónne, and for their exploits, as we recalled in one of the episodes, in Ca Moitura, the second battle of Moitura, because the first one was against the Favora, or the Firbolg, and the second one was against the Favora, or the Fomorians. Just before I start, just make sure I have everything up to date. Anna Pitterina is saying hello from Limerick. Hello, Anna. You're very welcome along. Baiba Ka says Leva. I don't know what that means. Is that a place? But you're very welcome along. Tom Quinn is saying hello from Brighton. You're very welcome, Tom. I hope you're in good form. Alex Casterson is in the Midland of England. Merry meet. Merry meet. Judy McQueen is saying hello, Anthony. Hi, Judy. You're very welcome back again. And that's us up to date. After the Battle of Talchan, and we spoke briefly about Talchan, Talchu, the place in County Meath, where the Irish Olympic Games in quotes, the equivalent of the Olympic Games, were initiated by Lou Lawfada in honour of his foster mother, Talcha, who had died. And Paula Farrell says, hi, Anthony. Hello, Paula. Alex Casterson says, I am a pagan and work with the Tuatha Danann. Hail Bov. Glad you're doing these. Very glad to be able to do them. Liam Mann, first time catching you live. Hello from an Irishman in the Netherlands. Great work. Keep up the live streams. Well, very glad to have you along, Liam. And I hope you are in good form and keeping well. Paul Blockley is in South Wales, just over the water. If I shout it out the window, you might be able to hear me, Paul. You're very welcome. Anseo, Anish, Anocht. Jules' cousins, not far in Seaford. After the Battle of Talchan, the Daedanans of the 5 provinces of Éireann assembled in one place of meeting to consider on their state and to choose a king. For their chiefs said it was better for them to have one king over all than to be divided, as they were, serving sundry lords and princes. Now of those who expected the sovereignty for themselves, the following chiefs were the noblest, namely Bov Jarug, son of the Dagda, and that literally means Bob the Red. Sounds a little bit like a Viking name. So Bov Jarug, son of the Dagda, his brother Angus of Brúga on the Boyne, that's Brunabónne, or Sheedenbroga, that's Newgrange, who, however, had no earnest wish to become king, preferring to remain as he was. Ilbrech of Assaroe, Lear of Shefinnaha, and Midger the Haughty of Briley, or Mir if you put the Lenishan in it, but we'll say Midger for the purpose of keeping it consistent. Then the chief people went into council, all except the 5 above named, and the decision they came to was to elect Bov Jarug, son of the Dagda, king over the whole of the Daedannan race. When the election was made known, none of those who were disappointed took the matter to heart, except Lear of Shefinnaha alone. And when Lear found that the chiefs had chosen Bov Jarug, he was greatly offended, and straightway left the assembly in anger, without taking leave of anyone, and without showing any mark of respect or obedience to the new king. Not a good idea. L.M. Moore is saying hello from Western Canada. Hello there, and you're very welcome. Good afternoon, or maybe it's even morning time. I suspect it's the middle of the day there. It's probably early afternoon. And Erin is saying hello to some of the newcomers from her home near Seattle. On YouTube, Ronald McFadden in Los Angeles says hello, and this is so great, Anthony. Well, thank you, Ronald. Trust you're keeping well. Hopefully, I know that California is experiencing a bit of a lockdown. At least the borders are closed, I understand. So stay safe, and don't forget to get out in the fresh air safely and get some sun on your face. And I know that's not a problem in California. It's in a little bit more sparse supply here in Ireland. Kevin Anderson is saying hello from rural Indiana, USA. Great to be here live, virtually that is. Hello, Kevin, and thank you for giving me your real name, because the handles on YouTube make it a little bit more difficult. And Paul McNally says hello from Corky. You're very welcome, Paul. Hope everybody in Cork is keeping safe and well. When the chiefs heard this, they were wroth, and they said that they would follow him to Shefinagha, and slay him with spear and sword, and burn his house, because he did not yield obedience to the king they had elected in lawful council. But Bov-Jarug would not permit them to do so. This man, he said, will defend his territory, and many will be slain, and I am none the less your king, although he has not submitted to me. Aidan McCluskey says, I was at Newgrange today, nobody around, looking back towards the Boyne at 3 swans flying across the river. I took a photo, but it's slightly blurry. Love that you're telling the story this evening. Hello, Aidan, and that's a lovely incident for you to witness, because you don't often see the swans flying in the sky. They're often just sitting down in the fields near the river. Joan Rankin, who's a big Mythical Ireland fan, is saying hello from Cape Breton Island. Hello, Joan. You're very welcome along this evening. But Bov-Jarug would not permit them to do so. Okay. Matters remained so for a long time. But at last a great misfortune happened to Lear, for his wife died after an illness of 3 days. This weighed heavily on him, and his heart was weary with sorrow after her. Her death, moreover, was a great event at that time, and was much spoken of throughout Erin. When the tidings reached the mansion of Bov-Jarug, where the chief men of the Dedanans were then assembled, the king said, As Lear's wife is now dead, my friendship would be of service to him, if he were willing to accept it. For I have in my house 3 maidens, the most beautiful and the best instructed in all Erin, namely Eve, Eva, and Alva, my own foster children, and daughters of Alil of Ara. The Dedanans agreed to this, and said that their king had spoken wisely and truly. Messengers were accordingly sent to Lear, and they were told to say to him, If you are willing to submit to the king, he will give you for a wife one of his 3 foster children, and you shall have his friendship forever. It was pleasing to Lear to make this alliance, and accordingly he set out the next day from Shefinagha with a company of 50 chariots, and they never halted or turned aside till they reached the palace of Bov-Jarug on the shore of the Great Lake, and that is Loch Jarug on the Shannon above Killaloe. Or is it Killaloe? Is that how it's pronounced locally? Their arrival gave much joy and happiness to the king and his household, for although Lear did not submit at first to Bov-Jarug, he was a good man, and was greatly beloved by the king himself and all of his subjects. So Lear and his followers got a kindly welcome, and they were supplied with everything necessary, and were well attended to that night. Next day, the 3 daughters of Alil of Ara sat on the same couch with the queen their foster mother, and the king said to Lear, Take thy choice of the 3 maidens, and whichever you choose shall be your wife. They're all beautiful, said Lear, and I cannot tell which of them is the best, but I will take the eldest, for she must be the noblest of the 3. Then the king arranged marriages, Then the king said, Eve is the eldest, and she shall be given to you if it is your wish. So Lear chose Eve for his wife, and they were wedded that day. Lear remained a fortnight in the king's palace, and then departed with his wife to his own house, Shefinagha, where he celebrated his marriage by a great royal wedding feast. William Butch King is in again. Hello, William. Saying hello from Arkansas in the USA. Hope everybody is keeping safe and in good health and in good stead, William. Chapter 2, The Children of Lir. In course of time, Lear's wife bore him 2 children at a birth, a daughter and a son, whose names were Finola and Aid. Or A, if you put the lenition on it. But we'll say Aid for the purpose of, I'll try and keep it consistent. A second time, she brought forth twins. 2 sons were named Fiachra and Con, and she died in giving them birth. This was a cause of great anguish to Lear, and he would almost have died of grief, only that his mind was turned from his sorrow by his great love for his 4 little children. When the news of Eve's death reached the mansion of Bovgerag, the king was in deep grief, and the people of his household raised 3 great cries of lamentation for her. And when their mourning was ended, the king said, "We grieve for our foster child, both on our own account and for the sake of the good man to whom we gave her, for we are thankful for his alliance and his friendship. But our acquaintance shall not be ended, and our alliance shall not be broken, for I will give him a sister. I will give him her sister to wife, my second foster child, Eva." Messengers were sent to Lear to She Finneha to tell him of this, and he consented. So after some time he came to the king's house to espouse her, and they were united, and he brought her home with him to his own house. The 4 children grew up under Eva's care. She nursed them with great tenderness, and her love of them increased every day. They slept near their father, and he would often rise from his own bed at the dawn of morning and go to their beds to talk with them and to fondle them. The king Bovgerag loved them almost as well as did their father. He went many times every year to She Finneha to see them, and he used to bring them often to his palace, where he kept them as long as he could on each occasion, and he always felt sad when he sent them home. At this time, too, the Dadanans used to celebrate the Feast of Age at the houses of their chiefs by turns, and whenever it happened that the festival was held at She Finneha, these children were the delight and joy of the Dadanans. For nowhere could 4 lovelier children be found, so that those who saw them were always delighted with their beauty and their gentleness, and could not help loving them with their whole heart. Chapter 3. The 4 children of Lear are turned into 4 white swans by their stepmother. Maybe I shouldn't announce the chapter titles. Sorry, my chair is stuck. Maybe I shouldn't announce the chapter titles if they're going to be spoilers for what's to come. Now when Eva saw that the children of Lear received such attention and affection from their father, and from all others that came to his house, she fancied she was neglected on their account, and a poisonous dart of jealousy entered her heart, which turned her love to hatred, and she began to have feelings of bitter enmity for her sister's children. Isn't jealousy a terrible thing? Her jealousy so preyed on her that she feigned illness and lay in bed for nearly a year, filled with gall and brooding mischief, and at the end of that time she committed a foul and cruel deed of treachery on the children of Lear. One day she ordered her horses to be yoked to her chariot, and she set out for the palace of Bovgerag, bringing her 4 children with her. Finola did not wish to go, for it was revealed to her darkly in a dream that Eva was bent on some dreadful deed of fratricide, and she knew well that her stepmother intended to kill her and her brothers that day, or in some other way to bring ruin on them, but she was not able to avoid the fate that awaited her. When they had gone some distance from She Finneha on their way to the palace, Eva tried to persuade her attendants to kill the children. "Kill them, and you shall be rewarded with all the worldly wealth you may desire, for their father loves me no longer, and has neglected and forsaken me on account of his great love for these children." But they heard her with horror and refused, saying, "We will not kill them. Fearful is the deed you have contemplated, O Eva, and evil will surely befall you for having even thought of killing them." Then she took the sword to slay them herself, but her woman's weakness prevented her, and she was not able to strike them. So they set out once more, and fared on till they came to the shore of Lake Dervra, which is in Irish Loch Derravara in Westmeath, where they alighted, and the horses were unyoked. So if you look at the graphic that I have on YouTube and I had on Facebook earlier for announcing the live feed, you'll see the live myths thing. You'll see that there are 2 swans on it. I know I perhaps should have had 4 for the story, but the lake in that photograph is actually a picture that I took from an airplane of Loch Derravara, Probably about 10 or 15 years ago. And the remarkable thing about Loch Derivara is it is actually strikingly swan-shaped. It appears to have the wings and the very long neck. And the horses were unyoked. She led the children to the edge of the lake and told them to go to bathe. And as soon as they had got into the clear water, she struck them one by one with a druidical fairy wand and turned them into 4 beautiful snow-white swans. And she addressed them in these words: "Out to your home, ye swans, on Derivara's wave, with clamorous birds begin your life of gloom. Your friends shall weep your fate, but none can save, for I've pronounced the dreadful words of doom." After this, the four children of Lear turned their faces to their stepmother, and Finola spoke. "Evil is the deed you have done, O Eva. Your friendship to us has been a friendship of treachery, and you have ruined us without cause. But the deed will be avenged, for the power of your witchcraft is not greater than the druidical power of our friends to punish you, and the doom that awaits you shall be worse than ours." And here's a poem. "Our stepmother loved us long ago. Our stepmother now has wrought us woe. With magical wand and fearful words, she changed us to beautiful snow-white birds. And we live on the waters for evermore, by tempests driven from shore to shore." Finola again spoke and said, "Tell us now how long we shall be in the shape of swans, so that we may know when our miseries will come to an end." "It would be better for you if you had not put that question," said Eva, "but I shall declare the truth to you as you have asked me. 300 years on smooth Loch Derivara, 300 years on the Sea of Moyle, between Erin and Alban, and that's between Ireland and Scotland, the Sea of Moyle or Mull. 300 years at Downan and at Inishglora on the Western Sea. Downan is Erris in the county of Mayo, and Inishglora is a small island about 5 miles west from Belmullet, also in County Mayo, still known by the same name. Until the union of Larnion, the prince from the north, with Decca, the princess from the south, until the Tailkin shall come to Erin, bringing the light of a pure faith," and that's a name given by the Druids to St. Patrick, "and until ye hear the voice of the Christian bell, and neither by your own power, nor by mine, nor by the power of your friends, can ye be freed till the time comes." I just need to catch up on the comments. Erin Rivertree, I think it's Erin, isn't it, says, "Late but tuned in, you're very welcome, and no problem, better late than never." So sorry, I just need to scroll back up here again. Kerem Gogus is watching. My good friend in Turkey, Kerem, was the one who designed the 3-dimensional images of Dronehenge for the Dronehenge book, and myself and Kerem have known each other virtually, social distancing, for years and years, perhaps at least 15 years. William Butch King, thank you. We are all. I hope you and all yours are doing well. Doing great so far. Samantha Healy says, "Stay safe, everyone. Stay inside." Cialach McTrainer, it gives us green hearts, Irish hearts. Kerem asks, "Is this really live, or have I just missed it again?" Well, hopefully the previous hello, Kerem, convinces you that it is in fact live. And yeah, okay, so we're all good. E for Erica, yes, very good. No, Erica, sorry, yes, Erica Rivertree, not Erin Rivertree. I did get it wrong. Thank you, Erica, for the correction, and pardon me for not knowing all the names at this stage. Then Eva repented what she had done, and she said, "Since I cannot afford you any other relief, I will allow you to keep your own Gaelic speech, and ye shall be able to sing sweet, plaintive fairy music, which shall excel all the music of the world, and which shall lull to sleep all that listen to it. Moreover, ye shall retain your human reason, and ye shall not be in grief on account of being in the shape of swans." And she chanted this lay: "Depart from me, ye graceful swans, the waters are now your home. Your palace shall be the pearly cave, your couch the crest of the crystal wave, and your mantle the milk-white foam." Depart from me, ye snow-white swans, with your music and Gaelic speech, to crystal Derivara and wintry Moyle, the billowy margin of Glora's Isle, 300 years on each. Victorious Lear, your hapless sire, his loved ones in vain shall call. His weary heart is a husk of gore, his home is joyless forevermore, and his anger on me shall fall. Through circling ages of gloom and fear, your anguish no tongue can tell, till faith shall shed her heavenly rays, till ye hear the Talkin's anthem of praise and the voice of the Christian bell. One wonders, is this an intrusion into the original tale by the Christian monks who were busy writing it down onto their vellum manuscripts? Then ordering her steeds to be yoked to her chariot, she departed westwards, leaving the 4 white swans swimming on the lake. Our father shall watch and weep in vain, he never shall see us return again. 4 pretty children happy at home, 4 white swans on the feathery foam. And we live on the waters forevermore, by tempests driven from shore to shore. And we're on to chapter 4. And Midlander MC says, doing well for today in Midland, North Carolina. Well, you're very welcome, and thank you for joining us from such a long distance. Hope it's a pleasant day there. We had a beautiful day here. Beautiful, warm and generally sunny day until the evening time. When Eva arrived at the house of Bovgerag, the chiefs bade her welcome, and the king asked her why she had not brought the children of Lear to him. Because, she replied, Lear no longer loves thee, and he does not wish to entrust his children to thee, lest thou shouldst harm them. I'm going to try and change all those these to yous. The king was greatly astonished and troubled at this, and he said, How can that be? For I love those children better than I love my own. But he thought in his own mind that Eva had played some treachery on them, and he sent messengers with all speed northwards to Shee-Fenaha to inquire for the children, and to ask that they might be sent to him. When the messengers had told their errand, Lear was startled, and he asked, Have the children not reached the palace with Eva? They answered, Eva arrived alone, and she told the king that you refused to let the children come. A sad and sorrowful heart had Lear when he heard this, and he now felt sure that Eva had destroyed his 4 lovely children. So early next morning his chariot was yoked for him, and he set out with his attendants for the king's palace, and they travelled with all speed till they arrived at the shore of Loch Derivara. The children of Lear saw the cavalcade approaching, and Finola spoke these words. I see a mystic warrior band from yonder brow approach the strand. I see them winding down the vale, their bending chariots slow advancing. I see their shields and gilded mail, their spears and helmets brightly glancing. Ah, well I know that proud array, I know too well their thoughts today. The Danann host and royal Lear, 4 rosy children they are seeking. Too soon, alas, they find us here, 4 snowy swans like children speaking. Come, brothers dear, approach the coast, to welcome Lear's mysterious host. Oh, woeful welcome, woeful day, that never brings a bright tomorrow. Unhappy father, doomed for aye, to mourn our fate in hopeless sorrow. When Lear came to the shore, he heard the birds speaking, and, wondering greatly, he asked them how it came to pass that they had human voices. Know, O Lear, said Finola, that we are thy 4 children, who have been changed into swans and ruined by the witchcraft of our stepmother, our own mother's sister Eva, through her baleful jealousy. When Lear and his people heard this, they uttered 3 long mournful cries of grief and lamentation. After a time their father asked them, Is it possible to restore you to your own shapes? It is not possible, said Finola. No man has the power to release us until Larngan from the north and Decca from the south are united. 300 years we shall be on Loch 300 years on the sea stream of Moyle. 300 years on the sea of Glora in the west. And we shall not regain our human shape till the Tailkin come with his pure faith into Erin, and until we hear the voice of the Christian bell. And again the people raised 3 great cries of sorrow. As you have your speech and your reason, said Lear, come now to land, and we shall live at home, conversing with me and my people. Linda Nolan says, hello Anthony, here from Phoenix. Thank you. Very good afternoon, Linda. Very nice to have you. How lovely it is to have so many people from so many parts of Ireland and the world, and indeed a big contingent from the United States this afternoon. Laura says, hello from Blessington. Good to be back, and we're very glad to have you, Laura. You're very welcome. Aaron says, I have looked forward to this my whole life. I will come whenever. Oh, you're talking about presumably coming to Ireland. Brendan Kinch, again another story not heard since primary school. Fado, a long time ago. And the funny thing is that, there are so many stories, but there were so precious few that we actually heard as children, compared to, say, even a couple of generations ago. Like my grandparents' generation, and my grandparents are all deceased now. But in their times, because I remember my granny telling me that they heard all of the old stories and were still very familiar with them all when they were younger. And so you're only really going back to the middle of the 20th century, perhaps, Kerem says, I think this is the story that inspired Lorena McKennitt on her The Bonnie Swans song. I'm not familiar with it, Kerem, but I must look it up when we're finished. Hail Lear, Lord and God of the Sea, says Alex Casterson. And Alex, I'm not sure if you tuned in the other night when we had an episode about Manannán Mac Lear. I highly recommend it. Oh yeah, as usual, before I continue, I should just paste in the link to all the previous episodes. For those of you who are joining us for the first time and perhaps haven't had a chance to binge watch the previous ones, I'll paste it in here as a comment beneath this video. I will, as soon as I can do that. I don't like to get too distracted, and I can't find it now. I'm trying to find the live Facebook video that I can paste it in underneath it. But it's on the Mythical Ireland blog, so if you go to mythicalireland.com and you go to the blog, it's the second post on the blog. Oh, here we go. I can paste it in there now. Paste. There we go. We are not... hang on. I better make sure that the YouTube video or comments are up to speed. Midlander says, enjoy your sharing. Thank you kindly. And she's great. Love Mummer's dance. We are not permitted to leave the waters of the lake, and we cannot live with our people any more. But the wicked Eva has allowed us to retain our human reason and our own Gaelic speech. And we have also the power to chant plaintive fairy music, so sweet that those who listen to us would never desire any other happiness. Remain with us tonight, and we will chant our music for you. Lear and his people remained on the shore of the lake, and the swans sang their slow fairy music, which was so sweet and sad that the people, as they listened, fell into a calm, gentle sleep. And that reminds me of the story that we encountered just a couple of episodes again. What episode was that? Ashlinga Anguso, the dream vision of Angus Og, which was episode 9. When Angus and Care had taken the form of swans to fly to Brunabonia, they flew around the place 3 times and put the people of that place to sleep with their enchanted music. At the glimmer of dawn next morning, Lear arose, and he bade farewell to his children for a while to seek out Eva. The time has come for me to part. No more, alas, my children dear. Your rosy smiles shall glad my heart, or light the gloomy home of Lear. Dark was the day when first I brought this Eva in my home to dwell. Hard was the woman's heart that wrought this cruel and malignant spell. I lay me down to rest in vain, for through the livelong sleepless night, my little loved ones pictured plain stand ever there before my sight. Finola, once my pride and joy, dark Aid, adventurous and bold, bright Fiacra, gentle, playful boy, and little Cun with curls of gold. struck down on Derivara's reedy shore by wicked Eva's magic power. O children, children, evermore, nevermore, my heart shall know one peaceful hour. Lear then departed, and travelled southwest till he arrived at the king's palace, where he was welcomed, and Bovgerag began to reproach him, in presence of Eva, for not bringing the children. Alas, said Lear, it was not by me that the children were prevented from coming, but Eva, your own foster child, the sister of their mother, has played treachery on them, and has changed them by her sorcery into 4 white swans on Loch Derivara. And Richard Moore is watching. What an interesting moment for you to join, Richard, because we're talking about the Children of Lir, and at the moment they're at Loch Derivara, which is that very swan-shaped lake in Westmeath, as you know. The king was confounded and grieved at this news, and when he looked at Eva, he knew by her countenance that what Lear had told him was true, and he began to upbraid her in a fierce and angry voice. The wicked deed you have committed, said he, will be worse for you than the children of Lear, for their suffering shall come to an end, and they shall be happy at last. Again he spoke to her more fiercely than before, and he asked her what shape of all others on the earth, or above the earth, or beneath the earth, she most abhorred, and into which she most dreaded to be transformed. And she, being forced to answer truly, said, a demon of the air. And a little footnote here says, a demon of the air was held in great abhorrence by the ancient Irish, without being quite specific as to what kind of demon they were talking about. That is the form you shall take, said Bovgerag. And as he spoke, he struck her with a druidical magic wand, and turned her into a demon of the air. She opened her wings, and flew with a scream upwards and away through the clouds. And she is still a demon of the air, and she shall be a demon of the air till the end of time. Sarah Clare is saying, lovely, Anthony, from Dublin. Very glad you can join us, Sarah. Hope you're keeping well, and that if you are isolated, that you're not feeling lonely. And one of the things we're trying to do here is to give people somewhere we can all join in for a bit of storytelling and just not feel so lonely. So very nice to hear from Balya Clea this evening. Liam Smith, really loving these live streams, Anthony. Great to hear these stories again. Isn't it wonderful that we can do this? Isn't it really lovely? This is like, this is like the way it used to be centuries ago, except for we may be speaking a slightly different language, and of course we're not huddled in a hut around a fire. But hey, let's imagine that there's a nice hearth, and that we're all supping tea, or maybe something a little bit stronger, if that's your preference, a bit of whiskey, or a bit of porter, or perhaps even a drop of the old poitín, but we'll say no more about that. Then Bovgerag and the Dedanans assembled on the shore of the lake and encamped there, for they wished to remain with the birds and listen to their music. And that's very interesting, because there are quite a number of crannogs have been discovered over time, or the remnants thereof, along the shore of Loch Derivara. The Milesian people came and formed an encampment there in like manner. These are the Milesians, who are the sons of the King of Spain, Mil España, that we've spoken about in a number of episodes, and will get their own episode. And Aurgin Glungyal, or Amergin of the Bright Knee, will get his own episode. These are the ones who came and took Ireland from the Tuatha Dé Danann, but the Dé Dananns agreed to give it to them after a while. For historians say that no music that was ever heard in Éireann could be compared with the singing of these swans. And so the swans passed their time. During the day they conversed with the men of Éireann, both Dé Dananns and Milesians, and discoursed lovingly with their friends and fellow nurslings. And at night they chanted their slow, sweet fairy music, the most delightful that was ever heard by men, so that all who listened to it, even those who were in grief, or sickness, or pain, forgot their sorrows and their suffering, and fell into a gentle, sweet sleep, from which they awoke bright and happy. And that's exactly what we wish for now, is a little bit of music from the Children of Lir on Loch Derivara, to help lift our spirits at this time. So they continued, the Dadanans and the Milesians, in their encampments, and the Swans on the lake for 300 years. And at the end of that time, Finola said to her brothers, "Do you know, my dear brothers, that we have come to the end of our time here, and that we have only this one night to spend on Loch Derivara?" When the three sons of Lear heard this, they were in great distress and sorrow, for they were almost as happy on Loch Derivara, surrounded by their friends, and conversing with them day by day, as if they had been in their father's house in their own natural shapes, whereas they should now live on the gloomy and tempestuous sea of Moyle, far away from all human society. Speaking of social distancing, and isolation. Early next morning, they came to the margin of the lake to speak to their father and their friends for the last time, and to bid them farewell. And Finola chanted this lay: "Farewell, farewell, our father dear. The last sad hour has come. Farewell, Bov Jarug, farewell to all, till the dreadful day of doom. We go from friends and scenes beloved, to a home of grief and pain, and that day of woe shall come and go before we meet again. We live for ages on stormy Moyle, in loneliness and fear. The kindly words of loving friends we never more shall hear. 4 joyous children long ago, 4 snow-white swans today, and on Moyle's wild sea our robe shall be the cold and briny spray. Far down on the misty stream of time, when 300 years are o'er, 300 more in storm and cold, by Glora's desolate shore, till Decca fair is Larngan's spouse, till north and south unite, till the hymns are sung and the bells are rung, at the dawn of the pure faith's light. Arise, my brothers, from Derivara's wave, on the wings of the southern wind. We leave our father and friends today, in measureless grief behind. Ah, the sad parting and sad our flight to Moyle's tempestuous main, for the day of woe shall come and go before we meet again." The 4 swans then spread their wings and rose from the surface of the water in sight of all their friends, till they reached a great height in the air. Then resting and looking downwards for a moment, they flew straight to the north till they alighted on the Sea of Moyle between Erin and Alban. The men of Erin grieved at their departure, and they made a law and proclaimed it throughout the land, that no one should kill a swan in Erin from that time forth. And of course, that law was enacted by the Milesians at the behest of Aurigene, the spiritual poet and bard and figurehead of the Milesians. So that is exactly the midway point of the story. And I know that you would all really love to hear it to the end, but that's for tomorrow. Tomorrow we will read the second part, but for the moment we must leave the story there. I would be very glad to have a quick chat, to take any questions, and as usual, I'll pop up the old future episode screen if anybody has suggestions. They're always very, very welcome. In the meantime, just a reminder that to say hello to my patrons, and especially Timothy E. Quinn and Fiona Nagiola Chiara. Fiona has previously joined us in a couple of episodes from Western Australia, and the link there to Patreon is there if you wanted to support the stream, the webcast. Also to say that the previous episodes are all available on YouTube and on the blog and here on Facebook, and also on Mixcloud if you go to Mixcloud and search for Mythical Ireland. Royal Hill Tara Ranger says, still illegal to touch swans, and absolutely rightly so. Often had poaching, late J.P. Fay. I never sampled it, but it's legendary, you know. In relation to the Swans, it would be interesting. Well, Aaron Durrett is asking if the Children of Lir have any connection to Cygnus. That is a very interesting question, and stemming from research myself and Richard have done over the years into the story of the Swans pertaining to Aislinge Aingeso, we think that some of the Swan stories certainly are heaven or sky myths, as it were, related to the constellations of the night sky. Because don't forget that there is a time in prehistory when Cygnus swoops down and touches the horizon, and I wonder whether is this the time when the Children of Lear are on the Sea of Moyle with their wings lashed to the rocks. Perhaps just an idea. Wendy says, what is the name of the loch? Well, it's Loch Deravara. Actually, I should spell that for you, shouldn't I? I'll type that in as a comment. Loch Deoravaragh, Loch Deravara, and it's in County Westmeath. They're not cairns, actually. They're cranogues, which are like lake dwellings, and I think they're later than Neolithic. They're a lot later than Neolithic. They may be Iron Age or early medieval structures. The remains of them, and perhaps there's more stuff around the shores of that lake to be found, because there are no towns or villages on the shores of that lake. It's wonderfully preserved, which is fantastic. Oh, Alex Casterson says the story of Diarmuid and Grania. Well, of course, if we haven't. No, we haven't up to now. That's incredible how we didn't think of Diarmuid and Grania. Yeah, absolutely. Diarmuid and Grania is an absolute must. Thank you for the suggestion, Alex. And I'll put your name there, Alex Casterton. I'll put your name beside that suggestion. A brilliant suggestion. Margaret Ring says, even to this day in Ireland, no one would even think of hurting them. In Loch Gur, it's always with bated breath we wait every year for the new cygnets to come out of the nest and swim. Oh, hang on, sorry, I apologise. And swim for the first time. Lovely, I'm sure that's a lovely sight to behold, Margaret. And the Royal Hill of Tara Ranger wants to know, what about Moat Hill here in Navan, or Uv? Is there a queen buried up there and battle in mists to time? There is indeed. The queen, I think, who's associated, or the lady who's associated with the mound in Navan, is Ova, who was Eramon's wife in Spain before he came to Ireland, and before he took Tia as his wife. And she came over here with her kids to find out what he was doing, and died of a broken heart when she found out that he had pursued another woman. Now, that may be an inaccurate summarisation of the tale, and if it is, that's my mistake. Alex says, fantastic, I'll be on here every night. Brilliant stuff, Alex, and it'll be very nice to have you here. Samantha says, fantastic story, Diarmuid and Grania. Yes, and another one that I should have thought about, but not to worry. Swans. So, in Welsh stories, so this is from Celtic mythology, or the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary of Celtic Mythology by Ian McKillop. James McKillop, not Ian McKillop, James. In Welsh mythology, swans are more likely to imply communication between the other world and the world of mortals, which is very interesting. In the Cygnus Enigma, Richard and I suggested that perhaps the whooper swans, when they depart in March around this time of the year, when they depart the fields of Brunabonia to go to the north, that perhaps in ancient times they were seen as carrying the souls of the departed ones to the mysterious land of the undying ones in the north, that realm of the stars that is perhaps imagined to have been undying. So I've just pasted a link to the Cygnus Enigma as a comment beneath. And the world of mortals, as when swans doff their feathers and frolic in the lake as maidens, yet a certain sexual association, perhaps suggested by the phallic long neck, is often implied. Derb Forgal takes the form of a swan when she comes from Lochlan with her maidens to woo Cuchulainn. Much earlier, a flock of destructive yet beautiful swans, festooned with gold and silver chains, ravages the area around Awan Macha when Cuchulainn is conceived. And of course, what he doesn't say here is that in that story the swans are chased to Newgrange, and at Newgrange, Dectine has a dream in which Lugh Samaldonach or Lugh Lawfada appears, Lugh MacEthnan, and tells her she's going to have a child, and that child is Setanta. And perhaps the birth of Setanta is a story that we should tell separately, because there's loads of episodes from Toynbee Culnia and the Ulster cycle that we could tell on here. In still another story, Cuchulainn returns to Awan Macha with a flock of swans, again in gold and silver chains, wild deer and 3 severed heads. The chains of precious metal probably evoke the supernatural, although the suggestion from Richard and I is that the silver chain of the mythology actually is the Milky Way that binds the 2 swans together, Cygnus and Aquila. Was Aquila once known as a swan rather than an eagle? Silver chains adorn Care, the swan maiden in love with Aengus Og in Aislinge Aenguso. And just again, that was episode 9, the dream vision of Aengus Og. So if again you're just joining us and you haven't seen any of these, episode 9 was about Aislinge Aenguso. Not all humans taking swan form are female, however. In the third part of Tuchmark Etain, the wooing of Etain, which is a story I've mentioned lots and lots of times in my blogs and videos over the years and in my books, the otherworldly Midger is transformed into a swan and flies through a smoke hole in the roof after he wins an amorous embrace with Etain, wife of Yuki Aram. King Mungon also takes the form of a swan. Most memorably, the male and female children of Lear in Untitled Lir, the tragic story of the Children of Lir, are transformed into swans, and of course that is the one we've been reading tonight. Spend 3 watery exiles of 300 years each, and I'm not going to read the rest because I don't want to spoil it. So there you are. Now, somebody asked a question. Christopher Widener, the Valkyries could take the shape of swans. And the key thing here, Christopher, in the Irish context, is the idea of shape-shifting. And the Daidanans, and we talked about Fenton MacBorcra last night, turning into a salmon and a hawk and an eagle. Shape-shifting is a big feature of the early stories. Anna Pitterina says, what time tomorrow evening live session will be starting? I'm trying to do them at 8 p.m, Anna. The thing about Friday is that I think Fridays will generally be earlier, and that's quite simply because myself and my wife like to dine together and have a drink together and watch a movie together on Friday evenings, and I dare not break that, and so she comes first. So I'm trying to sort of keep it regular, so generally 8 p.m. But I do announce it on the Mythical Ireland Facebook page, and I set up the live stream on YouTube hours in advance, and then you'll have an indication of what time each day. It should be around 8 o'clock Irish time. Samantha Healy says, how about something about Cliona? And I presume you're talking about Tun Cliona, Samantha. Cliona's wave, isn't it? Okay, we'll put that down. Samantha Healy, brilliant. I mean, at the rate we're getting suggestions here. Oh, something wrong here. At the rate we're getting suggestions here, we'll have episodes to do us for weeks and weeks and weeks, which is brilliant. Yeah, and Margaret says, announced on Mythical Ireland page around lunchtime on the day. Yeah, very good. Exactly, Margaret. Thank you. And Anna says, thank you, Margaret. I am new. Ah, well, you're new, but you won't be long before you're one of the regulars. And it's a pity that I just can't pour you out a glass of poachine and pass it round, or whatever you're having yourself, you know, make you feel even more welcome. Samantha Healy says, or about Etain, the beautiful maiden. Yeah, actually, that's a story in itself worth retelling, Samantha. So, brilliant. Yeah, tons of suggestions. We've enough there, yes, to do to another 2 or 3 weeks easily. Pardon me. Tomorrow, as I said, we'll get back to part 2 of the fate of the Children of Lir. Paul Blockley says, flying through a smoke hole has some shamanic significance. That's a very interesting point, Paul. Very interesting indeed. And of course, You may be familiar or may not with that section of my book, Newgrange Monument to Immortality, where I deal with the idea that it was designed to replicate otherworldly journeying and perhaps end of life, near death experience journeying, through the void towards a bright light. Jacqueline Kennedy is watching. Well, Jacqueline, you're very welcome. We finished the story for tonight. I am halfway through the fate of the Children of Lir. So when we're finished on either YouTube or Facebook, you can catch up on the story and then come along tomorrow night for part 2. Karam says, is there a character shapeshift into a dragon in Irish mythology? Not so much a dragon. Dragons are never really specifically mentioned, but the Mata and the Ulfecht would be creatures that would sort of come close, but I'm not sure about somebody transforming into one. That's a good question. Aaron Durrett says the Irish monks gave the evil stepmother the name of Eve. Well, actually, wasn't it Eve and Eva? Their real mother was Eve, and when she died, it was Eva who fostered them. Yeah, I think it wasn't it. Eve and Eva. Yeah, Eve was the real mother, and Eva was the evil one. Although variations on the same theme. Kerem says, I was wondering if shape-shifting into birds symbolises freedom. Well, freedom from what? Freedom from this realm, from this life, from the hardships of this life, I suppose, And to be able to soar off, to elevate yourself, to lift off into other realms, perhaps, Yeah, fantastic idea. Lovely conversation tonight. Jacqueline says, sorry I missed you. I'll watch it tonight. Hope all is well. All keeping good here so far, Jacqueline. And I hope you're the same. Catherine Wall McManus says, get well soon to whoever that was. I'm not sure who that was for. Tracy O'Connor is watching. Better late than never, I suppose. You're very welcome, Tracy. You'll have to watch the storytelling in the video and join us again for part 2 tomorrow evening. Christopher Widener says, what about Irish monsters and their mythical background? Just a suggestion. Brilliant suggestion. And one I'm very, very interested in, having written some stuff about some Irish monsters. That's from Christopher. Christopher, if your name is pronounced Widener, I apologise. I'm not just sure of the pronunciations. I apologise for that. Thank you. An amazing time, says Anna. Tracy says, first time being able to connect live. We'll catch a full one soon, hopefully. Great stuff, Anthony. Yeah, well, I understand that you're busy, Tracy, and all for good reasons. Thankfully, I'm keeping busy myself, and again, all for good reasons. Isn't it wonderful for us all to be able to get together and have a virtual storytelling? What about the magic wands used by the Druids, says Aaron. Well, we're going to cover the Druids, I think, as an episode. But I'll add in and their wands as a suggestion by Aaron. Okay. Yeah, we've tons of stuff to talk about. Margaret says, having dreams of flying does represent freedom. Yeah, I've had a few very interesting flying dreams. I remember telling Richard Moore would be familiar with one in particular. That was so incredible. It's such an exhilarating dream, Fabulous, yeah. And Christopher Widener says, absolutely correctly pronounced. Yes. Perhaps my German surname pronunciations are a little bit better than my Irish pronunciations. Alex says, thank you so much for this, Anthony. Will there be stories on the battles of Moitura? Yeah, well, one of them was already done. We did Cop Moitura, the second battle, as episode 5. And I can just link that into you here now. Share, copy. I'll just paste that as a reply to your comment, Alex. But perhaps it would be an idea. Oh no, hang on, I can't do that. Replying to Alex. Oh, I can. Perhaps it would be an idea to cover Moitura Kong, the first battle of Moitura, because the second battle gets so much focus. Also, the porridge story with Lord Dogda when he ate the porridge to slow down the Fomorians. Yeah, we kind of covered that in the Cá Chura episode, and also in episode 4, which was Dagda, Chief of the Tuatha Danann. But if you're looking back over these and you feel that we haven't covered these things correctly, feel free to prompt me again. Just making sure. Erica is saying, enjoying some dark chocolate and a fine tawny port. Very nice. Well, I may or may not indulge in a very small glass of vino myself this evening, and raise a toast to you all. And to say, as we close out this evening's storytelling, it's water, by the way, to say, honestly, keep the faith, keep a sturdy heart, keep a joyous and joyful view of things. Trust. Hope is not a bad thing, no matter what anyone tells you. Hope is a good thing, according to Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption. Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. So there you go. Ironic that we should leave this evening's episode with the words of Andy Dufresne and not someone from Irish mythology. Anyway, keep safe, keep well, keep your distance, keep washing your hands. Only go out if it's absolutely necessary to do so. If you've got elderly relatives or you've got people in your life who are immunocompromised or who have suffered from cancer or any other disease or who have gotten over a battle before, do your best for them. Reach out to them on social media. This one of the wonderful things about this current crisis is how it is actually genuinely bringing people together, quite genuinely. And I believe it's bringing a more compassionate and human side out in people, because they're off the rat race, a lot of them, all of a sudden, not stuck in commutes, not in an office or a commercial environment where it's all about money and gain. All of a sudden we have to care for each other, and it's a lovely thing to be able to do. So, Bannacht agus Slán go fóil, Gina go Lir around the earth. Wherever you're watching, either live right now or afterwards on video, Ihawa to all of you, and we hope to see you again tomorrow, and all going well, tomorrow 8 p.m. Irish time, 4 p.m. New York time, 1 p.m. West Coast time, so that would cover Seattle, Portland, Oregon, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. 9 p.m. in the German cities, Munich and Berlin and Bonn. 9 p.m. in Rome in Italy, to our good friends in Rome and Italy, and all of Italy, of course, who are currently undergoing a very difficult situation there. And of course, to all our very good friends in España, to all our friends, no matter where you are, stay safe and be healthy, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. I'm Anthony Murphy. This is Mythical Ireland, live Irish myths and storytelling. All the very best to every one of you, and a good night. If I can press the finish button. It's a bit awkward where it's located. And on YouTube, to say good night to all the YouTube viewers as well. Ihawa.